say that you skipped over obviously the best part, probably because it was like good. The new rules were good.
Oh,
enough.
yeah, right. Sorry, we got the end of the second last new rule and the last new rule. What really? Sorry, right.
But no, it's fine. I mean, we've done a lot of it, but
we got to cover the new rules, which I didn't even write down the last new rule because I was quite exhausted. Right. Okay, the last new rule was new rule. I'm not going to make you do the theme song for new rules with me because we didn't get to do them properly. The last new rule was Iowa is not the boss of me.
Yes.
Obviously about the Iowa caucus. And
I actually thought that was well written. But again,
not super funny though.
I don't know, locking people in a room. I mean, that is what a caucus is. I don't know if everyone even understands that. I thought that was funny, but I'm also just like, there's that like sniveling lib. I mean, there's that, you know what I mean? And Iowa, obviously, it shouldn't go first. It's so stupid. Like, that's why they changed it up, this primary. But it's, again, the disdain. And what the most annoying thing about Bill Maher, although I know I've said that, this is the third time I've said that, but I think one of the most annoying things about Bill Maher is he's a stand-in for liberal. So he truly embodies the elitist, coastal elite, Starbucks drinking, I hate like the working man, I don't know what a farm is stereotype, because like that is him. That is Bill Maher. And him, the Iowa jokes is okay, but like he ultimately just wants to be like, nah, you guys are rural and backwoods and like working class and like who the fuck cares? And you're just like, oh no, this whole archetype we've had to deal with that's been in the way of like real populism or real progressivism is this fucking guy making fun of average people.
Yeah, it's the Starbucks drinking thing. I used to always roll my eyes when people be like, oh, Starbucks drinking elites. I was like, please, they can afford better coffee.
Well, but back in, 15, 20 years ago,
I'll say even like, I guess it would be like, 7 or 8 years at this point, I was walking these two dogs way out in Brentwood. And on the way, I'd stop at in the Brentwood Market shopping place. And the cheapest place to get something to eat would be Starbucks. And I'd go inside and it would be packed. And I'd be like, sure, you're all so rich. Why are you living like this? Why are you drinking scorched coffee and sandwiches that are shipped like 2 weeks to get here? This is crazy that you're still doing this. Yeah. So in the end, I was the rube. Yeah, it's very contemptuous of Iowa. It also, it eats shit. This crowd is finished. This crowd is done at this point. This crowd is miserable. He's complained about them twice in the first 5 minutes, called them a bad crowd. The panel is a disaster. Everybody's screaming over each other.
Yeah, no one really can hear anything.
And yeah, at least for the last, what we got of the new rules, the crowd is just like, huh. And Bill Maher knows it and he's just going through. Because I think he even says something at the end. He's making gestures as if he's commenting on the show to the panel. And the mics are off at that point, so you don't hear what he says. But like, I think he's like not having a good time.
My favorite part of the new rules is when they don't fully cut out the person who's right next to him, who has to is like, am I on camera too? Uh-huh. And they usually do cut them out, but they have to like pan over, and that person is in the most awkward position. That's a must laugh seat. And they don't always rise to the occasion, and it's so like I can't remember if I've been okay. I have done monologue jokes on my show. I used to. I don't have time to write them anymore, but I used to. And so, but there is nothing more awkward than another comedian or entertainer or person who has to be on camera or next to you as you're delivering monologue jokes, not as an audience member, but just kind of as a participant.
Yeah.
I think that's some fans like they're not monologue jokes, but again, they are jokes. Yeah. They're bits. So it's rough. It's rough.
Okay, so that's real time. The other episodes won't have the problem of the glitches, but I don't look. Everybody listening, you got a taste of the miserable experience of this. So then we go to new rules. Can you do that? So
Dun,
Dun
dun,
dun 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 dun.
I only know this from Comedy Bang Bang and Paul Russ's bit. And so I literally wrote, new rules, because I got kind of excited.
New no-nos.
New no-nos. New no-no.
And I'll say Emily Heller was the first one to actually verbalize the point that often they're not phrased like rules.
No.
Like the most famous non-rule new rule is he goes, new rule, your daughter's a whore. And it's like, that's not a
rule.
So first new rule.
All right, new rule number 1, not everything is for the young.
Do you recall this one?
Kind of. What
Jimmy
was his
Dean
point?
dropping its 75-year-old spokesperson
He had a
to
real
appeal to
hard
younger
opinion
people.
about Jimmy Dean.
Jimmy Dean Sausages getting a new younger spokesperson to appeal to young people.
I did like the joke that he'd probably be dead already, like pretty soon from sausage.
Yeah.
Which is like, yeah.
The thing about this too is it's like a classic not just who cares,
Uh-huh.
but also like
That's not the connection of all the things to be like, this is not everything is for young people. Like Jimmy Dean commercials is not really the
they're losing market share because young people don't eat them.
right.
So it's the kind of thing where it's like, well, if they're not, they might go at like they have to be. Mm-hmm. They have to. It's
Also the photo they put up of Jimmy Dean is like the most old, wretched looking man who looks like he has been eating sausage every meal for 50 years.
Yeah, not nice. So
New rule, the end of Friends is not a national tragedy.
this is a faulty premise. This is an ahistorical premise.
Okay.
Because he's like, in the old days, a sitcom just went off the air.
Not
and they
true.
just disappeared.
There's
Dude,
so many famous finales to things.
MASH is... Everyone watched MASH.
Right.
Cheers? Everybody watched the last episode of Cheers.
St. Elmo's
St. Elmo's Place?
St.
St. Elmo's Place?
Like it's like the combo. It's like almost 11 o'clock.
St. Elmo's Place.
St. Elmo's Place had that great switcheroo. And I know that from watching like I Love the 80s or whatever, you know?
Sitcoms were... Friends was one of the most famous TV shows of all time. When
Right.
those shows went off the air,
It was
a big
the
deal.
probably the peak of ratings, right? It was just before...
It wasn't the peak. The peak of ratings for things was when there were before cable.
Right.
Because there were just fewer options.
Oh.
That was essentially the end of huge...
Of network, yeah.
Yeah.
New rule, don't get movie blurbs from the Pope.
I knew you were going to be a fucking asshole. Fucking... God, he's a prick sometimes. Vita, you can
Vita
stay.
was
It's fine.
so lovingly curled in my lap, and I was loving it. And how I had to...
He's such a jealous prick.
Boys are like that, man. He's a bitter, angry, sexless cat. The same as my boy, whose balls weren't cut off enough, so he still humps my blankets.
Hal, if I catch you writing a manifesto, you're out of here. Don't get movie blurbs from the Pope.
Pontification is what it was.
Yeah, I don't even really remember. The note I have here is it's about Passion of the Christ, and they loved it, the Pope. Or I think one of the archbishops. But there's a punchline where he's like, what are the blurbs from them? Monica Bellucci puts the in Mary Magdalene. This bothered me because he says it just like that. He goes, Monica Bellucci put the in Mary Magdalene. The delivery of that joke is Monica Bellucci puts the in Mary Magdalene. Because if you say Mary Magdalene without the then in fact the was not put into Mary Magdalene. And like the punchline is the repetition of the noise. The most important part is the repetition of the noise.
It's not that it's an like
No, it puts the in Mary Magdalene. You need the repetition of the noise for it to make sense. Otherwise, the brain does not clock those two things being related. I feel very strongly about this.
Okay.
This is
I think little to no feelings about this, so.
Next one.
New rule, the State of the Union must be used to describe the State of the Union.
Never has ever mattered, ever. Not true.
I actually did like this one.
Oh, no.
Yeah. I didn't think it was funny.
The point is that he made most of his points about our enemies in Iraq. But
the thing is, he starts doing an Andy Rooney impression. And his Andy Rooney impression just sounds like him. Mm-hmm. It's just how he does jokes.
Yes, exactly. I had a note from later when I was erroneously watching Club Random about him being just like the least interesting Andy Rooney ever created.
Final new rule. New rule. You can't get to be president by screaming for it. Like, is there not enough Dean Scream content on this?
Absolutely not. It was like maybe it was like one of the most interesting things to happen to politics in a while,
And
other than a war that we should not have been in.
and a stolen election.
Oh yeah,
Like, and he also is like, Americans have real reasons to be angry. And one of the ones he lists is that we're being medicated. And it's like, it seems like the reason you should be angry is you can't afford your medication.
yeah.
But he is, of course,
He's one of those like when was this around the time when everyone's like, the kids are on Zoloft and like Prozac Nation and all that stuff.
yeah, it's like, oh,
Sham Scrubber.
you were medicating all the like great artists of the future are being destroyed by Ritalin. So this last one, he also says during this bit, I can't say this part, but you can. Can you just read?
He calls FDR's wife a dyke.
Yes.
You can't say dyke?
I don't think so.
What if it's about the barrier wall against water?
I mean, I'm quoting it here, so it probably would have been fine.
You call it a dyke bar? you know?
Also, because I am so constantly tormented by all of my wife's queer friends,
Okay.
I have been told that I do get an occasional slur pass.
Don't waste it on that.
No,
Yeah,
it's much funnier on
An
like,
old dig at Eleanor Roosevelt is really so fun.
yeah, like, and then that's the end. That's the end of the show. He goes out on a pretty flat new rule. And then we go over to
The new rules.
Can you do da ba 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 da 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 da? Come on, Steve, you got it. Da 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 da. So new rules. Any general thoughts on new rules? I've got all the new rules here.
Yeah. I was surprised, and I remembered, but I forgot how much, and I don't know if he does this still, but the takedown of Hollywood stars or that kind of, because that's basically all the new rules were in this
So
episode.
weird.
Yeah, like, these fucking actors doing drugs, and don't call it a journey. I'm like, what? What do you care? Like, why do you give a shit? Like that? Yeah, I think almost all the new rules were like just taking down Hollywood stars and actors.
So
and-
he does defend one group of celebrities.
who's that?
First new rule.
Yeah.
Ready, new roll. Give arrested celebrities a chance to comb.
So the group of celebrities he
By the
defends
way-
are the ones who do insane DUIs
Yeah,
and then
it's
have
Nick
crazy
Nolte and all
mugshots.
that shit. Yes, let them comb.
Yeah.
He that one was quick. Though.
Yes. Yeah. And that one too, though, because they so rarely put jokes in the graphics they have up on the screen, he shows it's James Brown, Nick Nolte, and then the last celebrity with the fucked up mugshot they show is Saddam Hussein. But the crowd doesn't laugh because they don't even look at the graphic because it's so infrequently used for jokes. They're not trained to look there. So like nobody reacts and he looks a little confused. But it's like, well, they just didn't even realize you'd done that. Also, I think the lesson there is the police should not release mugshots to the public. It's like, hey, we shouldn't let these celebrities, we shouldn't let this happen to them. It's okay for like a guy who'll get fired from his job at Safeway, though. Number 2.
New rule. Children can't be Oscar nominees.
Oh yeah, I actually agreed with this point.
So my thing with kids is I don't think kids should be allowed to act.
Yes.
I accept it like something like Abbott Elementary. I'm like, that seems like a healthy environment. A lot of kids around.
Yeah.
So that seems better. But when it's like a movie, like a kid who's just always on set with a bunch of adults, even beyond the potential for like abuse, I think it just makes you weird.
So you agree with Bill Maher's point?
No, because I think it's more impressive when a child is a good actor because a child can't control their emotions in the best of situations. Like children struggle to control their own emotions just in day-to-day life. So for like a child to be a good actor is strange in that they can understand what's being asked of them and then convey that.
Interesting.
And also, the other thing, too, is his point where he's like, they're not actors. They're just sad little puppets desperate for approval. And it's like, I'm sorry. You can say that about adults as
Yes.
well. Like,
Yeah.
is that not true of many adults in the entertainment
Yeah.
industry. Like,
Yeah. I did like his jab at Whale Rider.
yeah, he's
He's like, nobody in this audience. And then Sean Astin, I've seen it.
A 13-year-old girl named Keisha Castle Hughes has been nominated for a movie called Whale Rider that no one you or I have ever met has ever seen.
I saw it.
oh, Sean Astin did not get the note. Do not talk during New Rules. Yeah, Whale Rider, people saw it. Like,
Yeah.
it made money.
Yeah.
It's one of those movies where it's like a real, counted as an independent hit.
Yeah.
Okay, so just cutting in here to say that I actually underestimated it. Whale Rider was a very big hit. It cost $3.5 million to make in the equivalent American equivalent of New Zealand dollars. It cost $3.5 million US to make, and it grossed $41.4 million worldwide, and like won a bunch of awards at festivals and stuff. The movie was a big hit. I hate this man so much.
But he's just like, and then he'll also complain. He'll be like, Whale Rider, nobody saw that. But then he'll also be like, why is every movie so stupid and for kids now? Third new rule.
Also for the Oscars, new rule. No more referring to your acting role as this wonderful journey.
What? I mean, this must be from Bill, but like, what really bothers him so much about this?
I guess to him, it's the thing you were saying where he thinks of himself as like a hard worker and a truth teller. And these are just some like loser actors who play pretend. And so, yeah, and I mean, it is a journey. Like, you can call it a journey to say, you look at the journey from the process of beginning and doing the research and getting to this point, nominated for an Oscar. It's been a journey to do all those things. A journey is just a series of events you go on.
Which is just so he's heard an actor say this a few times.
He just thinks actors are like annoying and pretentious.
It's so funny that he's like, I can't believe they would call this a journey.
Like, how could you possibly give a fuck about this?
Does it have to be a literal journey for him?
Yeah,
you have to travel somewhere.
Even then, a lot of sets are on location.
So they did, in fact, travel and journey there. Yes. I mean, those things like that pop up where you're like, man, he must just be so mad that he's didn't make it as an actor.
I wonder sometimes because I talk about it more on like the Patreon stuff, but like he starred in a movie called Pizza Man.
Yeah.
He booked one of his first acting roles. He booked a series that went 13 episodes starring Gina Davis.
Whoa.
Yeah. And Alfre Woodard. It's like crazy. And then by that point, he started doing like man on the street stuff for Leno about politics and then politically incorrect. And it's like, I talked to Ella Dawson. We hypothesized about like, what's Bill Maher like if that show is a hit?
Yeah.
And yeah, it's like, and I think he finds them pretentious, but he's also the guy who now Chris Cuomo will be like, why don't you think you win awards when more people watch your show than The Daily Show or John Oliver? And Bill Maher will go, I tell the truth.
And then everybody claps. He was on Rogan, which is a great episode.
Okay. I am gonna watch the Rogan Bill Mahers for sure.
Because Rogan, whatever you have to say about Rogan, and I have worse and worse things to say about him all the time. But the guy loves stand-up comedy, and he has an idea of what stand-up comedy is, and it's the Comedy Store and all these things. Mm-hmm. That is not Bill Maher's idea of what comedy is.
No,
but Bill Maher still thinks of himself as a comic.
Yeah.
Even though he stands at a podium and like straight up looks at notes.
Oh yeah.
Not like we look at her like, oh.
Yeah, he's got a binder filled with jokes.
Yeah. And he just reads from his jokes. So to listen to them talk, and Joe's like not trying to like call him out or anything. So there's times where they're talking and it's incredible to listen to. It's incredible to listen to because he's like, Bill, you got to come down to the store. They throw you out there, and he's like, I don't want to do that.
I don't feel like bombing in front of a bunch of tourists.
He's like, I prefer just to go on my theater tours.
Yeah, I don't feel like eating shit on Kill Tony. Ticketmaster has reviews.
Yeah.
And if you look at the reviews of Bill Maher, the performer, every like 20 or so, someone's like, he just read out of a fucking binder on a music stand. Like, most people are like, great, he still got it. As good as... Actually, most of them are like, the venue had bad sound. All the venues he performs at have bad sound and or bad parking. But every now and then somebody is like, wait, hold on.
Would you go see him if you got a free ticket?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
I
don't know if
I almost
would.
drove to Vegas. If it wasn't election week, I might have driven to Vegas and paid $100 to see him.
I don't think I would go see Bill Maher. See, that's what's funny.
Because he's saying he's probably going to retire after this special.
Oh, boy.
So it's my only chance.
My thing is, that's the thing. Pay me. I'll hang out with you. I'll have a great time. I would not pay $50 to go see him.
Oh, yeah, no.
No.
Okay, so...
New rule, tipping is for waiters, bathroom attendants, and lap dancers only.
This was 20 years ago. This was a literal 20 years ago, and the tipping thing was still happening then already.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? I mean, I don't know how I feel about the tipping stuff, because, I mean, I'm a bartender, so obviously I feel like I deserve it, but it has gotten out of hand. I mean, I know what people say. They say you don't have to do it, and I won't if I'm like, what is this? What are we doing right now? But still, I'd like to tip people too. I don't know. I agree with Mara on this one.
I will say he explicitly did not include bartenders and said baristas don't deserve it.
He meant bartenders when he was talking about waiting staff. They wait on.
Oh, okay, I see. This is
yes.
like when DC was trying to pass a $15 minimum wage for servers.
Yeah.
And guys who worked at nice restaurants were like, I don't need it. And people be like, well, the woman who works at Denny's needs it. And they'll be like, I don't care about her.
Yeah.
You have no solidarity with your barista working class brothers.
I do think baristas deserve it. They do basically what bartenders do. So
and that's the thing too. It's like at that point, it's like it's not like categorically skilled labor, but like you have to learn how to do that shit.
Yes.
Like I get it. You know, sometimes you go to a place and it'll have at Pink Dot. It's on like Sunset, and you can go in the back and get a sandwich.
Yeah.
And when you go up to the front cashier, there's a thing for a tip. I only ever go in there and get like 2 bags of candy and a big White Claw if I'm up at the store, because I like to come home and like come down in the weirdest way. But like when it says tip, I just press no.
Yeah.
Like, and that's a case where it's like, well, you literally did not do anything.
Yes.
You couldn't have. It'd be tough for you to have done less.
So when Bill Maher, that does kind of, he says, when I have to stand, then I will not tip you. It's almost, but I don't know. I think you should tip baristas. So I don't know.
New rule: the Super Bowl must stop pretending it doesn't take advocacy ads. So it's because he is he's on PETA's board.
Oh, okay.
He loves animals.
Oh yeah, what a weird. I was like, why are we talking about this?
I thought he was going to be like now they won't run abortion ads.
Yeah,
and people will get mad because they'll be like, you'll run this weird Jesus shit, but you won't run like
Is he a vegetarian?
I think he might have been then, because he talks a lot about how bad eating, how Americans are slobs.
Well, he always
eat
hates
red
fat
meat all the
people,
time.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I've heard him say recently, he's like, I'm not a vegetarian. He'll also be like, look, I'm not a communist. People can eat what they want.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm not sure if he was ever a vegetarian, but he does say people eat too much meat and that animals are treated poorly. The thing in this, this is just like the thing in this that's strange is he uses it to segue into food is bad.
Yes.
Like people eat too much food. Yeah, obviously, as soon as you hear it, it's like this is a chance he's going to segue into some fat people stuff here. But he's like, they won't run ads about how your food is killing you, but they will run ads being like, you have to wear a condom. And he says,
there will be a watch out for AIDS ad during the pregame, which is all well and good, except AIDS doesn't even place in the top 15 of the things that kill people in this country.
Yes.
And it's like, okay, and then he moves on to diabetes, heart disease. It's like, okay, I can't catch heart disease very easily from someone I have sex with once. Like, AIDS is the kind of thing to compare those two. It's such a false compare. The whole idea is like, oh, are there very few cases of AIDS now? Great. We should probably keep doing what we've been doing because it clearly works. And this guy's like, and he still talks about this shit. He'll still be like, oh, in the 80s, everybody was like, AIDS is going to blow up into the heterosexual community. It was fine. It never happened. He's nuts. He's like so weird about AIDS. I think there was just some woman who was like, you don't have a condom, I won't fuck you. And he has been angry about it for literally 40 years.
Well, he probably does not like using condoms.
I'm quite sure he's a I don't wear condoms guy. Like I'm sure he got a vasectomy.
Man, I
quite
forgot
young.
that Super Bowl thing went into that stuff.
And
Then
then
funny.
that's what he uses to segue into like the essay length.
Yeah. Well, he like turns to the camera with a close up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do I have anything else? Oh, okay. So he says the only other real thing I have from here is he goes,
Speaking of which, you know who else is sponsoring the Super Bowl? Levitra, Viagra, and Cialis.
which to me lends more credit to my theory he does not rehearse. If he'd rehearsed, somebody would have gone, Bill, it's Cialis.
Here's the other thing too. Is
Shut up.
if anyone uses those things, it's Bill Maher.
Oh, well, now certainly, yeah.
Yeah. So why would he? And he goes, just what a woman needs. A big, fat, raging slob full of hot wings coming at him with a hard on.
Yeah, it's like it's not only for after the Super Bowl. like the idea of advertisements exist to be bought immediately and then used. Oh, wait, I forgot the best part of that. You know who else is sponsoring the Super Bowl? Levitra, Viagra, and Cialis.
No, those aren't three black chicks I know.
And then he goes, I mean, they are, but also.
Oh my God, that's incredible! I didn't catch that. I remember he said something that is so. Oh my God, Viagra as a black woman's name.
Like, it's the kind of joke, it's like, we're all familiar with those jokes. Those don't even sound like black names within the framing of those kinds of jokes. Like, the jokes where people make fun of, what about any of those?
No.
Like, maybe Levitra,
Yeah,
maybe you could get away with because it tends to be like luz and does is what people would do with those jokes. But like, yeah, Viagra and Cialis. Viagra. And that's how he ends it. They go, oh, yeah. And then he says another thing, and they go, oh, yeah. And then they go right into new rules. Now, please, Caitlin, did you pay attention to new rules? Oh, hold on. Before we do new rules, you have to do the new rules theme song with me. New rules.
Oh God, I can't believe he made me do that, but I knew I wasn't getting out of it alive.
Any general thoughts on new rules?
I hated it.
Okay, I can go through one by one. First,
New rule, if everybody was wrong about the weapons of mass destruction, then somebody has to say, my bad.
and this is just about how nobody has ever suffered any repercussions for any of this, which is true, but he ends it with the punchline.
Something is terribly wrong when the only person who's been fired over terrorism is me.
His comments on 9/11 got politically incorrect canceled.
Yeah, clearly.
Famously, the only person who ever suffered any consequences for what they said after 9/11. Also fired for terrorism. It's like America essentially fired Muslims after 9/11.
Yeah, I was there.
Right? Oh, right. Yes.
I'm like, yeah, okay.
You were getting your very lucrative degree at Tisch at the time, right?
Okay, I'm not that old. I was a freshman in high school when it happened. I just mean, I told my 22-year-old facialist this summer about the world. I was like, you used to be able to just walk into an airport and like go to your gate. You could like walk to a gate and pick someone up there.
Or say goodbye
and she was
to
like,
someone.
What? And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe
Dude,
this.
think about all those movies where somebody gets on the wrong plane. And kids are going to watch it and be like, this is so fake.
They're like, how would this have happened? I was like, it was happening.
It could happen so much that if you were a child flying alone, you had to contact the airline and be like, can you please make sure my child does not get on a flight to like Yemen or something? So, of course, also the Dixie Chicks, nothing bad happened to them after.
Yeah. They were still good.
He's talked about them on the show.
He's so stupid.
So many
times. This is what I've deduced from this.
He doesn't.
His world is about, okay.
Next
we gotta,
one.
yep.
New rule. Stop scaring us with diseases we will never get.
And he's like, SARS, monkeypox, West Nile.
Oh, yeah, a little foreshadowing.
Well, he is famously a vaccine truther. a mild vaccine truther, but a vaccine truther. And he doesn't think COVID is a big deal and doesn't think he would have. He's like, I would have been fine without the vaccine if I'd gotten COVID. For a while, he was going, only old people and fat people died from it. But then he realized he's old, so he just started
So
going,
he just
only
said-
fat people died from it.
Yeah, and also I don't think that. Okay.
But he specifically, like SARS, monkeypox, West Nile, people did get those.
Yeah.
Especially SARS.
What are that's? I was like, okay, but I once again I remember this is a thing.
My brother in Christ, I am from Toronto. A lot of people got SARS. But it's funny here because earlier in the show he says something about how he's like essentially talks about how correlation does not equal causation. And here he can't recognize the opposite in that maybe the reason those diseases didn't spread out of control
Is maybe
because we took them
Because-
seriously at the outset.
this is what drives me crazy.
It's the Y2K thing. It's like,
Yeah,
yeah,
like maybe because of all the things that all these people are doing.
the next one.
New rule, update the Hajj.
So this is the Hajj is the pilgrimage to Mecca that, like 1 million Muslims take every year. As Bill Maher is just beginning to talk about the fact that there are deaths every year in like stampedes and crowd crushes, Andrew Sullivan starts laughing.
Every year, the words Islamic and stampede.
Because he hates Muslims, Andrew Sullivan. One of the most insanely racist guys. 4.
New rule, stop running TV ads I don't understand.
Well,
Classic old man new rule here. What Apple, IBM computer? It's a baby. I don't know what they're trying to say. This is his Andy Rooney shit, truly. But it does actually end up picking up a lot of steam, and it ends up killing with the crowd. Last one.
New rule, Southerners have to at least consider voting for candidates from the North.
This is something he talked about on the last episode.
yeah, this is
And also, like, it's a stupid point because Reagan's from California. H.W. Bush is from, like, Connecticut, I'm pretty sure. Obama, in 4 years after this, is from Illinois. Like,
God. That was only 4 years.
this is such
Oh,
a
God.
weird...
Time it just slips. It moves so fast.
It's a very 80s feeling bit, but he does say...
Howard Dean's Vermont and John Kerry's Massachusetts are no longer where carpetbaggers come from. Carpet munchers, yes.
Yes, and that was
Carpet munchers.
I
Caitlin, he said carpet munchers.
wrote hate his last speech. How did he get this far? Why was he allowed all of this?
So a popular theory is that the show is just unbelievably cheap to make, and it's a brand name. And I imagine the people of the network like him because I'm sure the older people are like, well, Bill does say
He
what
should
we're
have
all
been
thinking."
given the opposite of all of this. He should be in a dark hole. And I agree with his bullies.
Man, the new rules this week. This show is crazy for how feeling himself he is.
Also kept mentioning like a lot of once again the I can say bad words because when I'm on HBO I'm like okay pee pee poo poo.
Yeah, I can say bad words like carpet munchers. It's like,
Like,
sir, it's not
He
network
like definitely
standards.
said blowjob like so he's like we talk about blowjobs on this show.
Dude, like this exact year, there was a joke on 30 Rock where Liz Lemon said something like, your mom's like a washing machine, except when I drop a load in a washing machine, it doesn't follow me around for a week afterwards. I believe literally this exact year, or maybe within 2 years of this, that exact joke was made on 30 Rock. Like, you could say carpet muncher on ABC if you would want it to.
You could say it on ABC Family.
At 11, yeah, we can get away with a lot here. I can totally talk about rubbing my ding dong if I want. Yeah, he talks almost the whole episode. Rob Schneider cuts in any chance he
Too
gets.
much.
Too much, but the counterpoint, when he's talking, Andrew Sullivan's not. So honestly, I really appreciated
And
Rob
neither
Schneider.
is Bill Maher.
And it's like, he'd make some awful joke, and Carol Moseley Brown would be like, you're terrible.
I know.
Look, that's
She's
like the
like-
best case scenario for
She's
the
like,
show.
these men are sick in their hearts, and I can go on my way knowing that.
You know, it's like Rob Schneider being like, well, I can answer that as a black man, Or it's Andrew Sullivan laughing at Muslims dying during the pilgrimage to Mecca. I know which of those two I'd rather. So that's the show.
A dark soul.
So before we get into New Rules, of course, I need you to do the New Rules theme song with me. New rules. First new rule.
Keep the Statue of Liberty closed.
I was taken aback by this take. I really, when he said keep the Statue of Liberty closed, I genuinely was like, I'm listening. I'm very curious why you are opposed to opening the Statue of Liberty up again. Any thoughts on this new rule?
This was crazy. Well, first I thought he said clothed, and I thought he was going to do like a French.
I also heard clothed, and I was like, wait, what happened?
Up the read. He just fucked. He lisped a little. So this was all crazy. First of all, he said like it should be like church. It shouldn't be. Not everything needs to be interactive. Church doesn't need to be interactive. I'm like, church is interactive.
Church is insanely interactive.
All ritual is interactive. Bill.
Famously, as a Catholic, one of the most famous things about Catholic Mass is people being like, I don't know when to stand up. I don't know when to sit down. Then they got you kneeling. Once you think you figured it out, you're going up. Do I get the bread? Do I not get the bread?
They put stuff in your mouth. That's as interactive as it gets, man. Like, and you know this. You know this, Bill.
I went to a very progressive Catholic church, and when the priest put the host in your mouth, he would quietly whisper, take it, piggy. So I did think that was very cool. That's my BDSM church. He ends this by saying, I just don't know why you would be opposed to, and he doesn't ever really articulate a reason. I don't think he knows. I believe he is opposed to this. I don't think he knows why, though.
He doesn't understand why people want to go do things, is
Right.
what it is. He's like, why can't you just look at it?
Right.
Why would you want to go?
And
it's not for you to climb up and down those stairs. How dare you? Like, you're so upset about how fat everyone is, Bill Maher. And now you're saying, like, those stairs aren't for you to climb up and down. Like, well, I want to climb up down those stairs.
No, stop doing the Rocky, everybody, okay? You've got a few steps at home.
That's not as fun. I'm not going to go up and down my steps in my building.
He also ends this by going, if you want to get lost inside an American icon, fuck Shelley Winters.
She was still alive at this point. I went and checked.
Yeah, she died not but 2 years later.
So this made me happy because I got to check to see that she was still alive.
And it's, I don't know, maybe Shelley Winters was like I thought that was a weird pull.
It was a weird pull.
And I think some of that stems from his like personal homophobia, is he could never make a joke about fucking a man. Because I think there are so many men that would have been better choices.
But the Statue of Liberty is a woman. It has to be a woman.
Right. Okay. That's an interesting parallel. Because in my mind,
She's
it was
like the most famous woman.
It was like fuck John Wayne or like.
Yeah, it's got to be a woman.
Okay.
In my opinion.
I will say the thing, too, that did sell me on it is that afterwards, Jason Alexander did do what I'm assuming was an impression of Shelley Winters.
You'd rather see me die! You'd rather see me die!
Did he? I missed that, too.
Yeah. He,
Shit.
I think he just says something like, I know you'd rather me dead, or something like that.
Oh, yeah, he did.
Yeah. Which I'm assuming is Shelley Winters, right?
I'm assuming. I don't know her.
I don't know
whole
anything
over that well.
That's the other thing about the Shelley Winters poll is I'm like, I don't know anything. The name Shelley Winters barely rings a bell for me even. And I know I'm a lot younger, or I'm a lot older now. She died almost 20 years ago. But still, was Shelley, like, surely there was a more iconic woman than he could have gotten.
Well, what I think because he's a Johnny Carson guy, she was a very frequent guest on Johnny Carson where she would argue for like feminism.
That's where she dumped a drink on
Oliver Reed's head.
Yes.
That one of the only clip of Johnny Carson I've seen that isn't in a fan-made video for Johnny Carson by the Beach Boys. Which provides everything I know about Johnny Carson.
New rule.
Keep Dick Cheney in seclusion.
Just easy shots at the Bush administration. Not a lot here. Crowd pleaser. 3. New rule.
The Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition is whacking material for guys too chicken to buy real porn.
I mean, that's not a rule.
No. This is one of the most egregious not a rules in the history of new rules.
I mean, it'd be crazy if just all of the laws in the land were just definitions of things. Which is, Bill would love that. Okay, there's a part. He says that the time between football season and baseball season is now masturbating season.
Mm-hmm.
Was that the joke?
Yeah, something like that.
And I wrote down, it's not funny, but it is a thing I can acknowledge. It's something between, not funny and a joke. I'm like, I can acknowledge that.
Yeah, we're in the doldrums of the. I think by that point, the NBA season. It's one of those things where you're like, we pretty much know where this is headed at this point. Teams are really starting to check out of games, and but it's specifically in reference to that's when the Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition comes out.
Sorry,
I will say the pushback I would give on the premise is that I never bought one. This is I'm young enough. I was never buying a swimsuit edition of Sports Illustrated. You would buy the Sports Illustrated specifically to, in his words, whack it to one of the women who you knew was in the issue. You were looking to honk it to a specific person, and this seemed like the closest you'd get to seeing them naked. That would have been the mindset, because some issues famously sold insanely well based off of who the cover model was. So the cover model was a big factor in people buying it. It wasn't just like, ooh, women in bikinis, I'm going to crank it to that.
You would need to be able to form an emotional attachment, even a superficial one, to a woman to be able to have that emotion though. And I don't know if Bill's capable of that. I think just woman, like boobs, little waist, no butt, long legs, we're good to go. Doesn't matter who it is.
It is like a kind of a joyless idea of like what he's jacking off to. Like the woman doesn't matter at all as long as it's a woman getting fucked. Yeah, huge bummer. And he ends it by essentially saying like, why does it matter that they have bikinis on? A nipple is nothing more than a bundle of nerves surrounded by skin, much like Howard Dean. It's like, why do you hate Howard Dean so much?
People were excited. People really loved dunking on Howard Dean at this moment. You were not in the States yet, right?
No, I remember the Dean scream. I remember seeing a lot of like jokes in media about it. But it's like Bill Maher really seems to have like a specific dislike of Howard Dean.
You couldn't have a conversation at this period in time without somebody making a Howard Dean joke.
It's true.
I knew a kid in my school, his dad was from Vermont and was involved with the Dean campaign, and it was a big issue for him. He was very irritated by it.
It is true. It's the same. It's like my wife has been like, listen, it doesn't matter how much American television you guys got in Canada. You have no idea what it was like in this country after 9/11, like just how insane everyone was.
I have no idea what it was like in this country after 9/11 because I lived I lived where I lived.
A city, I think a year after I got here, a guy went into the intersection of Hollywood and Vine, one of the busiest intersections in the city, and just started shooting at cars. And the intersection was closed for maybe 45 minutes afterwards, and then was just back to normal traffic. I remember being like, oh, cool. This is like a city that literally refuses to like internalize any of these fucked up things that another city would like make movies about it happening.
I mean, the big thing is it's like the racism against Middle Eastern people. I grew up in like Pico Robertson.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like if you saw a visibly Middle Eastern person, your first question would be, are you cousins with my friend? And not like, like if you were racist, that's what you're thinking. Because like the Iranian diaspora, it was so like centrally located in the west side of Los Angeles.
Next one. Stop. New rule.
Stop calling every time two bad things happen at the same time a perfect storm.
This is one of his classic, like, hey man, you're not George Carlin. This language comedy is not really your thing, And also, this is worded so confusingly. Stop calling every time two bad things happen at the same time a perfect storm.
I have nothing.
Yeah, again, he's just like, we used to just call this stuff like bad crap or something like that. Like, whatever happened to just calling this stuff bad crap? The crowd does not care, and it flops. It flops so bad and is so clearly bad, he doesn't even say anything about how bad it does. He just moves on. It's the rare time where it seems like he is able to acknowledge this was no good from moment one, and it never got any better. New rule.
I don't care that your phone takes pictures.
I mean, if you need a reminder of when this is set, of when this was happening, when this is set, no, when this is happening.
The picture of the phone that takes pictures is great. It's a flip phone with a picture of a guy on it. And I was like, oh my God, this really was the genesis of this being a thing that was possible.
He talks about like that it's going to be the synthesis of like two of his least favorite kinds of guys who take pictures and guys with cell phones. Which is again, like, I'm so distant from that even being, that seems like an insane thing to say in 2004. To me, as somebody who had a cell phone and liked taking pictures,
and he's been in LA.
As a teenager.
He's been in LA since like the early 80s.
Yeah, so
he has agents. Like he knows people who have cell phones and car phones.
I don't know. It was a strange moment. But then I was looking at the flip phone with the picture on it, and I don't know, it brought me back. It was fond memories of the first camera phone I saw.
So you liked this new rule purely for nostalgia reasons.
I mean, one of the reasons I like this show so much is that it's fun to like revisit this moment in history, because I was having a blast in my life.
The original genesis of this show was, I'm going to cover a lot of different things. Some new rules, some politically incorrect. And then I did one episode about a movie he was in, and everybody was like, I like it better when you stick to just recapping real time. And I was like, okay, like the audience has shaped the show for me. What?
The
Pizza
movie?
Man. Yeah. And it's not tough to find reasons to hate Bill Maher just recapping real time.
Absolutely.
He also ends it. He's like, you mentioned, he says the thing about his two least favorite kinds of people are phone people and picture and camera people. He goes, if they figure out a way for the phone to play country music really loud, we could call it a perfect storm of assholes. And I was like, well, you got your wish, my friend.
That's true. But how often does he encounter somebody playing country music really loudly?
I don't know.
I think never. I think this has never happened to him. Or maybe there's one person, or actually no, a writer probably wrote that and he probably loved it.
Right.
That's what it is. Because it would never occur to him.
It's that thing that Kath Barbadaro floated where, as opposed to he really seems to dislike women, possibly because of how his father talked about his mother, it could instead be that he actually doesn't have any experience with this stuff, but he has still internalized so much of it for whatever reason that he's doing the version of it that somebody who doesn't actually experience these things would do. So yeah, the really loud country. I mean, again, I'm from Calgary. The only time I ever heard people playing country music really loud was somewhere where people would do like you're taking the train to the Calgary Stampede and somebody's blasting country music on some sort of small stereo, and you're like, oh, do I have the right to get angry with this guy that we're on our way to a rodeo and he's prepping by playing country music on the C train? I kind of think that would make me the asshole in this situation. So I can't imagine when he has experienced this in a scenario where it would be culturally unacceptable.
Maybe he had to take a flight out of John Wayne or something and he went to Orange County. They do that there, or they used to. And that's the other thing too.
It's like
just Orange County people who are who are really strong Republicans. They'll blast country music really loud.
New rule special. I don't know why he says this. New rule
special Valentine's Day edition. You can't claim you're the party of smaller government and then make laws about love.
So I thought this was going to be his pet thing lately about how they're spending whatever, $100 million to encourage marriage in the country. But this is all about gay marriage. It's very interesting because of how, I would say it is way less, way less. There are way fewer homophobic jokes than I would have expected. The only one I have written down is even pretty borderline at that. Do you have any thoughts on this? The final new rule that segued into his sort of final essay-length speech he does.
Well, Jason Alexander was fucking loving it.
So they do a wide at one point during this, and Jason Alexander and Billy Baldwin are laughing and clapping, and Deborah Simmons has just a smile on her face. I was like, I wonder what the editor at the Washington Times thinks about this in 2004.
She doesn't even have a Wikipedia page. I'm amazed that she's here.
Yeah, the only thing I found about her was her page at the Washington Times, which she stopped writing for in 2001.
Crazy. Okay, I miss the JALV. He says at one point, privatize privacy, and I flipped out and wrote, words have meanings, I'm going to kill myself. And then I get why so many women have sex with Bill Maher to get him to stop talking. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, it wasn't homophobic. I guess it wasn't particularly homophobic.
Yeah. He does have one. He does have one David Guest joke, which he kind of is early on. I remember being like, "Oh no, is this the tone this is gonna go with?" But that's kind of the end of it. And he even goes after the Democrats. He does the thing where he's like, you know, it's one thing for the Republicans who just hate gay people and think they're an abomination to oppose this. That does make sense given their logic, but it's the height of hypocrisy for the Democrats to say, well, homosexuality is not a choice and like there's nothing wrong with it. These people should be fully accepted into society. But then to also turn around and go, well, they should get civil unions and like some protections and all these half measures. And then he goes,
The law in this country should reflect that some people are just born 100% outrageously, fabulously, undeniably Fire Island gay.
And I remember being like, this may be the most positive, supportive thing I've ever heard him say on the entire show.
Yeah, it's crazy. When you kind of like summarize it, I'm like, oh yeah, that I agree with all that stuff. That's all, you know. But when he was saying it, I was saying I want to kill myself. I hate this. Stop talking. I want this to be over.
Yeah, because sometimes you don't want somebody to be an outspoken ally. You're like,
I think I just hate him, and I don't want to hear him talk. At this point, I was so sick of hearing him talk. I wanted to see the vest. I wanted it to be over. The first quarter of the game I wanted to watch was almost over because I timed it poorly. And
goes, what's up with the people in Colorado? All the panelists go, yeah, you're right, I don't know. And he goes, okay, time for new rules. Like, why?
I was so confused because it felt like such a non sequitur. I was like, what's going on with the Colorado story?
So it is like, you know, there were a bunch of like sex crimes at the University of Colorado. I mean, Columbine was like 10 years early. But it's like, you want to know why there are shootings in Colorado? They have a lot of fucking guns, and they're very right wing.
Yeah.
They're very evangelical Christian. What's up with the sex crimes at a university football program? Yeah, that's unusual. Oh, how could that? Like, there are answers to all of these things. He just lumps them all together, and he's like, what's up with Colorado?
Which the sex crimes at the universities steps on his earlier joke about rapes happening at universities.
He loves to pull from the monologue and be like, remember that. And again, it's like, one thing that bothers me about this is it's like, when you're talking about nothing's off the table, he wastes these shocking premises. Mm-hmm. This whole setup, it's like he just wants to say rape a bunch of times. Like, that's funny. And it's like, listen, if you use a topic like rape or race, you really use those things to like really hit the crowd with them in a really it's an incredible experience for everybody. Huge laugh. People are shocked. It feels great. He's so callous with them that it's like, it's that shit where it's like, I'm not offended as a human being. I'm offended as a comedian because you are burning premises right now that other people could use for good. And you're just tossing them out. And it's dog shit. And it really bothers me.
It's really bad.
It's like seeing a rich guy and you're like, that's what you're spending your fucking money on? Give me your money, you asshole. And then they go into New Rules. You got to go soon. Before you go, I do need you to sing the New Rules theme song with me.
Okay.
New Rule. I'll just run through the New Rules myself after you've left. But do you have any thoughts on New Rules?
My only thought is his closing joke. That was a question mark at the end of joke, where he says Islamabad feels Islama terrible, and I was like, oh god. Oh,
yeah.
Boy.
Oh, that's the one. Yeah, where he's talking about about the Pakistani nuclear scientist who revealed he sold secrets, nuclear intel to North Korea, Iran, and Libya. And he really he's like, you don't want Muslims to have nuclear weapons. It's like, he also said North Korea, man. And like, who's testing ballistic missiles in 2004? It's North Korea. And I know he should know that because he's talked about it on his show a bunch. He has said, shouldn't we invade North Korea instead of Iraq because they seem like more of a threat? And when he hears this, he's like, those damned Muslims.
It reminds me of the Islamabad feels Islama terrible. I made a joke similar to that on the Jim Jeffries show. I put it in, I submitted it. And it was like something that went with apocalypse. I don't remember it. and the head writer put it in and read through. And I sat next to Jim during, like, you know, in the office, and during read through, Jim gets to it and he goes, "Come on, guys, are we even trying anymore?" And I was like, "Oh." Oh.
And like, it makes Islamabad feel Islama terrible. It's like, fine, if you want to do a stupid joke, but like, that's predicated on the rest of your comedy not being just as bad as that joke. Yeah. So I'll go through the new rules.
Which was my thinking when I put it in, by the way. I was like, everything else is so good that it's funny that it's bad.
Yeah.
I thought wrong.
I don't know that everything else was that great. Okay, just Will solo now. Here are the new rules to close things off.
All right, new rule number 1. If a candidate is accused of having an affair he didn't have, he gets his next one free.
So that one was about John Kerry and the false rumors and stories online about him having had an affair.
New rule, homosexuals must be ripped.
Okay, so that one is just Bill Maher, the official arbiter of gayness, being mad that he saw footage of gay men in San Francisco going to get their marriage licenses, and they weren't like insanely jacked. They just looked like normal people. Oh boy, this fucking show. That he is annoyed that that there are gay people who just look like normal people.
New rule, the Catholic Church needs to change its name to Toll House Cookies.
So this one is a real fucking reach. It's just, you know, the Catholic Church, I don't know if you guys heard, they have a little bit of a branding problem due to all of the crimes against children they covered up. And that's just what this whole new rule is about. Hey, Philip Morris changed their name. Kentucky Fried Chicken changed their name. He's just saying they need a branding update in the most confusing way possible with the initial new rule. Also, the companies he lists, they did not change their names to other existing brand names that people have good memory or good feelings about. They changed their names to much more corporate sounding names. So it also doesn't really make sense. Like Toll House is not going to let them. It's not going to let the Catholic Church change their name to Toll House as well.
New rule, sometimes sorry just doesn't cut it.
So this is the one Lisa was talking about that features the Islamabad, Islama terrible. Joke. Yeah, it's about a major Pakistani nuclear scientist who had in the past sold nuclear intel to some other countries. He doesn't really say what he would prefer instead of, like, what you should do in a case like that instead of just saying sorry. But that's, you know, that's the rule.
And finally, new rule. No one has their shit together at 22.
And this one is about, you know, whatever John Kerry was up to when he was 22. It's a weird false equivalency because I don't remember that ever really being discussed, what he was up to when he was 22. Whereas George Bush, I mean, this fucking asshole's been talking about the fucking National Guard shit for fucking what feels like years at this point. So this is the one he does the final essay off of. The final monologue is a fucking dud. This is a really unremarkable set of new rules. So then we go into new rules.
Oh,
I'm sure
God.
you know the deal with new rules. New rules. I did it with more. This is one of the weeks where he's like, we got to go to new rules. And then the music starts playing and you're like, give it a little.
No
oomph.
show. He got really tired this episode by the end.
Like, look, I get tired recording this godforsaken show. I get exhausted. I cannot keep it brief. I'm like, I'm going to whip up the energy and then I'll go to the Habit and sit in like silence and darkness and have some fries before I go
I'm
home.
shocked at how.
And I'd like to apologize, by the way, for how long I've kept you.
Are you kidding me? No, this was like the healing part of it, because like the part of it that was psychic damage was being like, oh fuck, like I have to pay attention to this. Like I was originally gonna wrap my nephew's Christmas presents while watching this, and then I realized like what a way to like just destroy Christmas like secondhand. Like that energy will pass through into these gifts, but like this is healing.
Great. And I'm out of the closet on the fact that I paint fantasy miniatures, and I can't do it while watching the show Because first of all, there isn't room on my desk for a giant 5-star notebook and a palette and 2 cups of water and the brushes. But also, I'm like, I don't want to think about this show while I'm laying a base coat down on whatever.
Don't involve, like, keep it separate. Because, like, I do think I did get something. This didn't feel like self-harm. It felt like I was.
Well, that's a huge relief.
Yeah. Make that your tagline.
The podcast becomes like a horror movie where it's like no guest survives after going on it. It's like Masters of Horror is back, and Mick Garris directed an episode about this fucking Bill Maher podcast. So New Rules. Any general thoughts on New Rules?
Oh, I mean,
before I go specific,
no general thoughts. Like, go specific, because just
the first one is truly. So the first one is.
All right, new rule. If someone wants to run Haiti bad enough to fight for it, why not give them a shot?
And it's not a great joke, and
it's not a joke. It's what is.
And he even. I think the next part is something like, if a chicken wants to run it, why not let it? Because at least then if there's a coup, they have something to eat afterwards. And it's just like laughing at Haiti for being in the perpetual state of poverty that the United States and France and all these colonial powers put it in when they did their when they freed themselves from slavery and have been punished for it ever since. But the Chiron, so show needs more Chirons. Buddy, this'll knock that wish out of you. Because the Chiron just says, Porta Potty, like Port-au-Prince. And I saw that and I was like, this is unbelievably horrific.
It's shocking that this is the most horrible thing on this episode. It was so, like, he's just so fucking racist. He's so racist and he's so classist and he just fucking hates everybody because he loves
the Republican governor of New Jersey.
yeah, that's thank God. That's so good for the left. I mean, like, he compares marrying little people on television to eating bugs as well in the context of this joke.
I really thought I was free from him talking about whatever it was called, Little People, Big Hearts. I don't remember what the show was called, but
the amount of reality TV that this man watches is
the deep cuts. Shows I do not remember ever seeing.
Yeah.
And I looked it up, and that show, it did pretty well, but it wasn't even as big as Lost.
No.
So then, new rule number 2, new rule.
New rule. I don't care how big or flat it is, it's still just a TV.
And it's like, you could have just stopped it. I don't care.
Yeah.
Who gives a shit, man?
Yeah, what is his point?
He's like mad that people are buying big, nice televisions.
Yeah. I don't understand what his point is.
Somehow almost every week he manages to find a new thing that has even less impact on his life than the previous week. People spend a lot of money on big screen TVs. Okay.
Doesn't affect me. Doesn't affect you, Bill. Bill, you can afford a big screen TV, I'm assuming.
And I bet you he had a big I bet he probably had a home theater in his place. And I'm sure he would have been like, that's different. It's a projector. New rule. Oh, my God.
New rule. A hamburger is not the same thing as a car.
And it's about reclassifying, the Bush administration wanting to reclassify fast food workers as like the manufacturing industry to kind of juice manufacturing numbers in America. It's not,
no. But I did like the, oh God, I wish I had written down
and this is when it's not, he's never explicitly says it, but the underlying thing the whole time is, how dare you compare a guy who makes a car to the dumbass
they're
who
not
makes
working as hard.
They're not as worthy as the term like manual laborer.
Yeah.
A hamburger is not the same thing as if you walked up to somebody and said that to them, they'd run away from you so quick, even if you knew them.
New rule. Gay marriage won't lead to dog marriage.
That's one of the many things in this that is just not a rule. It's just not.
As always.
Yeah.
This show's idea of a rule it's often just a statement. New rule. I'll have fries with that.
Yeah, for real. And I wanted to like climb through my computer and beat the shit out of him when he ended on a street joke.
Oh.
All marriage is same-sex marriage. It's the same. You get married and every night is the same sex.
So I'm not going to put in a clip of him saying that. I am going to put in a clip of Robin Williams saying that in the trailer to the film Man of the Year.
You don't have to have an amendment against same-sex marriage. Anybody who's ever been married knows it's always the same sex.
Where Robin Williams runs for president and makes that exact joke.
I didn't write this down, but I had a moment watching this episode tonight where or watching the monologue where it was like, this show doesn't feel like a comedy talk show. It feels like a comedy talk show that would appear in a movie written by somebody who's never written on a talk show before.
It's why it's the perfect show to do that. Because anytime you see it in a movie, it looks like a real episode of the show. And it's like, I think he might be in like Superman v Batman. I think there might be a clip of him being like, this guy can just drop down from the sky and kill the president. And it's like, I could imagine him.
That's as funny as something he would say.
If Superman were real, that would be his unbelievably bird-brained take. It wouldn't be like, well, everything we know about everything is different. Like, how can you accept anything you once knew when it turns out there is a godlike alien? He's just like, what if this guy killed the president?
So I checked, and I was thinking of all things, the pilot for the television show True Blood, where he is talking to a vampire activist, a vampire rights activist. That's what I was thinking of, and it still is like hilariously shallow a conversation. Like, it's not about the sort of like metaphysical, like debunking reality as we thought we knew it. It's him being like, but come on, don't you guys feed off of us?
Yeah.
I
guess. Then he'd get mad at the audience for not laughing at it. I hope I can trick Bill Maher into being in. Being on this podcast might have just ruined it for me, but like, I would love to trick him into playing himself in a movie someday.
I was trying to think of a question for you for the start of if you could think of essentially like the people's Maher. Yeah. And if you could think of anyone to cast as like the Bill Maher figure in the direct/spiritual sequel to The People's Joker.
Oh my God.
But if you can't, but I didn't do it because I was like, that's a tough question to just throw at somebody.
I mean, honestly, I've never seen anybody like you. The way people have talked about like Jim Carrey, like morphing his face like rubber. Watching you do Bill Maher face is like kind of terrifying. I think it would have to be you.
The forward lean is also it's like
his
exclamation point.
Yeah,
he looks like a turtle. He does it now when he does it. He also like sometimes you can kind of hear his mouth go like close so fast, but with no teeth. It's just lipped, and it snaps closed so fast to emphasize. Anyway,
it'd have to be a body horror movie.
Anyway, I'm extremely upset that you just said that, by the way. And then the last one is new rule: foreigners can't run for president. I believe only foreigners should run for president. Or sorry, I did a Maher and read it wrong.
And finally, new rule: foreigners can't run for president. I believe only foreigners should run for president.
Now, the rule there is only foreigners can run for president. You don't need the whole first
question mark. It was so in like going in because
look, I'm Canadian, so I don't know. I feel like most people are aware you have to be a natural born citizen to be president of this country. I don't think that's a thing that needs the additional context of, like somebody watching like, wait, can a foreign person not become president in this country? Like, it makes it not a rule. it's weird. I wanted to take right and burp into the microphone and also kind of like
You're better
swallow
than
and
me.
choke on it.
Anytime I burp into a microphone, I emphasize. I'm shocked I didn't. I had 3 drinks this whole episode. No, it's also it's so jarring to hear just a middle-aged white man say foreigner.
How about when he says the average Japanese?
Yes. It's like hanging out with my grandfather. Jesus.
Yeah, the average Japanese really felt like that should be said within the context of why he won't own a Toyota or a Honda.
Yeah. He's having a flashback to the Great War. It is like, I think the other thing that was I couldn't tell what his politics were on this. I couldn't tell if
really
this was
is
sarcastic.
And this is the monologue one. And it's really confusing what point he is making it's about Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
And he makes fun of him. He's like, you might be surprised to hear this. He wasn't born in this country. I know he speaks so like,
What's the joke? So the joke is, like he talks like that, I guess.
He talks
we
funny.
all know he's from Austria.
There is also a quick joke about where he makes fun of, he's like, it's something like, you'd think he's an authentic whatever, or he'd be like, how Bush is from the town in Texas of New Haven, Connecticut. And I'm like, that joke would have been fine if he didn't then lean forward and stare at the crowd for a little while to be like, I'll let you soak that one in, guys.
Yeah.
Like, the okay jokes, he's just like so like...
It's the one. Those are the
ass.
ones he's the most proud of because they're the ones that actually do usually make sense. But they're like, it was also because he's talking about how like he thinks presidents should be like, I don't remember who he describes like Mussolini or like
Berlusconi.
Yeah, Berlusconi.
He's just talking about how the perspective is kind of like maybe we should have a foreigner as a president, someone from the band Foreigner as president, because they seem so much more progressive and so much smarter. But his evidence of being progressive is they all have mistresses and cheat on their wives. And he's talking about Italy and clearly referring to Berlusconi, who was like a far right sex criminal.
Yes. like it's so, and that was the point in the monologue where I was like, okay, so like he's like serious, like, because I think if there is one thing I can say about Bill Maher is like he wants his politicians to be disgusting, like vain animals like him. Like, I mean, it's so
I don't mind a president that likes a little bunga.
Yeah,
that
for
was
real.
what he like. And it's Berlusconi, I don't think all the sex crime stuff had come out yet, like the orgies with like 14-year-old prostitutes.
But he's describing like, I want my president to be tan and in sunglasses and like throw a lot of money around. I'm like, that is also just fucking deplorable.
Yeah, and it's also like Bill Clinton was kind of like, you're kind of talking about Bill Clinton right now. He's not like a slick rich guy, but they literally called him Slick Willie.
Yeah. Well, he's not talking about Bill Clinton yet.
Oh my God. Does he reference Bill Clinton during the episode?
You don't remember the
oh right. Yeah.
The final Jewish joke in the episode is it's like John F. Kennedy showed that
a Catholic could be behind the desk,
and Clinton showed that a Jew could be under it.
Right. I really thought I was free. Went literally the last thing he says, and I'm like, I just thought we could go 1 week without this fucking shit.
It's 6 years later. It is 6 years later, and it's like such a fucking disgusting joke. It's so disgusting. It's so just like this Jewish slut, and to do it 6 years later,
He really can't. There's so few. Everything ends up coming through sex with this guy.
Yeah,
that is like the lens of like everything.
He's a nasty, nasty little boy. It's so like. It was like, I'm glad I didn't like wrap my nephew's Christmas presents. I wouldn't have been able to give it. I would have had to like light them on fire. Just because like that, he's just a pervert. He's just disgusting, and like. He should be behind bars. I say that as somebody that, you know, like I've gotten into legal hot water in the last couple years.
Yeah, he's something else. And then, of course, we go into new rules.
Oh, here we go.
I don't know if you know this.
Or as I call it, Premise Beach. Remember that Kids in the Hall sketch?
No.
What if a man ran for public office who really shouldn't have bothered? Premise!
So before we go into new rules, it's a thing I make every guest do. You got to do the new rules theme with me. New rule. First new rule. You can't win an award for best editing if your movie lasts 3 hours.
I kind of agree with this one.
Okay, well, my wife, if she were here, would murder you because she's the number one extended cut of the Lord of the Rings fan.
They extended it?
Oh, they all got extended cuts. So I will say,
what did they give the movie Viagra?
who am I? Something I am not. So Schindler's List is 3 hours and 15 minutes. I don't know that there's a lot you could cut out of that.
The red was distracting. It's like, what's wrong with this movie?
It's like the dumbest guy ever at the movies. Wait, the whole rest of the thing's in black and white. Somebody fucked up.
They didn't want to spend the money for make everything color.
So, also, Malcolm X is 3 hours and 22 minutes. And
okay, I don't agree with it.
That's another movie I would not cut a single second.
Lord of the Rings, man.
I know.
They all three didn't need to be that much.
It's like...
I mean, Malcolm X wasn't walking in the woods for 2 hours of that movie.
And listen, I agree that Return of the King has too many endings. Fans of the movie do not agree. But it's just the kind of thing. It's like... And I complain about this with...
Well, I'm not here for the likes. I'm not in it for the likes.
Oh. Why do people always remember that billboard?
Because he's in it for the likes. It's a billboard. I'm not in it for popularity, my billboard says.
And I don't, it's like, you know, and I've been a big proponent of the thing of, I say these Marvel movies shouldn't be 2 hours long.
Oh, I agree. Yeah.
And I get it. They're trying to do it in the joke form, but it doesn't get a big laugh.
No, it's...
And he's only got one more joke, and then he just moves on. And also it boils down
also,
to...
Like, he's like movie obsessed. I listen to like, if he doesn't like a movie, it's like a personal attack.
All he does is watch movies and reality television.
Yeah.
At this
in
point.
his mansion.
And fuck women in their 20s.
Yeah.
This is the most... Yeah. You wish, ladies. He also seems like the kind of guy... Well, I don't know. No, I bet I was going to say he seems like the kind of guy who's too cheap to give them, like, money for a cab. He would insist his driver take them back because he's already paying for the driver. But I don't think that's...
Probably leaves, like, a tape recorder in the car to hear what they say about him afterwards.
That I certainly
Jerry
believe
Lewis.
is possible. Oh, Jerry Lewis did that?
Well, you remember the Seinfeld where George leaves the tape recorder in the briefcase behind? Jerry Lewis would do that. To hear what they said about him after he left meetings.
People are so fucked up. I would never want to know that.
Ever.
There's literally an episode of, what's the other cartoon?
If I hear someone talking about me like in an adjacent room, I will walk farther away. I don't want to hear it at all.
There's a Garfield and Friends, the one that isn't Garfield, it's the farm animals. Mm-hmm. There's an episode where Orville the pig can read everybody's thoughts, and the moral of that story is you don't want to know what other people are thinking.
Yes, I've never had the urge to read someone's diary. I'm like, I don't understand people who want to do that.
I would only want to read the diary of a stranger. Yeah, that's compelling.
Yeah. Anne Frank.
Right.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't know her.
Yeah, sure.
If you knew her, if you read that book, if you knew her, reading that book is wrong.
I get it. It's an important. I get it. It's a foundational text of the Western canon. But I went to school with her.
It just feels...
I'm worried she'll mention me. That's got to be a joke somebody's made by now. But it's so funny.
An untapped Anne Frank joke? It couldn't happen.
There's no way.
No.
Comics in the 90s and 2000s were just too edgy.
Premise.
Yeah. Number 2, let the guy in the Mickey suit run Disney. I thought this was going to be related to something specific, like
workers' rights?
Workers' rights, or Michael Eisner did a truly fucked up thing, but it's just kind of like, look, if they care enough to do it. Just let them run it. And it's kind of like
so weird.
Yeah,
There's no larger point to this one.
I might actually put this whole one in just so people can hear it and truly discover like
what?
Yeah.
New rule: let the guy in the Mickey suit run Disney. Look, any guy who's willing to put on one of those heavy, stifling costumes and let kids yank on his leg for 8 hours a day must really love the company. Give him a raise for $9 an hour. Let him pick the movies. Let him program ABC. He can't do worse than Hope and Faith.
Like, well, there's no real point of view here other than like he's just kind of being silly, but he can't be silly.
Yeah.
So it just comes off as like, I don't.
Yeah, it feels like more of like the gravitas of like a monologue joke.
Yes,
where
yeah.
It's just kind of like an aside. You would say like in the car. They should that guy should run a place.
See that hug Mickey gave our kid? I'd trust that guy to run a company.
Would you like to write for this comedy show, sir?
I mean, no. So number 3, don't call my president an asshole, which was about Hugo Chavez calling Bush an asshole.
He kind of did sell this one though. He delivered this one well.
Yes,
because he was kind of like he knew he was being ridiculous.
Yes,
like that's my. I thought he told this one well.
The mock sincerity. I thought the writing was like he's doing the mock sincerity thing, but like it's almost like the writing didn't commit to the bit as much as he did.
Yes. And it wasn't his smug fake sincerity. Like it was
him being like
he kind of This might be the only bit he has improved through performance.
It's as if like he's like, well, the joke's good, so I'm going to deliver it poorly because I don't got to do it well.
I think he does do that.
But he gets to this, and he's like, this stinks. I got to fix this.
I 100% think he does that.
I'm almost not comfortable giving him that much credit. So the fourth one, drugs are a symptom, not the problem itself. Now, this is essentially...
Okay, I'm listening.
This one is essentially a shot at where you grew up.
Yes.
Because it's about, people do meth in small towns because there's nothing else to do.
But this is a stand-up bit.
This is a like classic premise.
Yeah, and it's kind of true. Like, this is like how I felt. And like, get me the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
And
if you don't want them to do meth...
If I had stayed there, I probably would have died of meth.
Yeah, it's like you should get them something and a bus ticket out of town.
Out of here.
It's like, the American town is dying.
Right.
But I don't know. Because I'm not from one.
He does mention like Walmart did come and like open up and like destroy our hometown, like all the local businesses.
And even it's
now there's 2 places to work, even in anywhere.
And even just like the urbanization of America, like there's so much shit in a city. And because I'm not from a small town, I feel bad kicking them while they're down.
Yeah, I don't want to hear Bill Maher's smug ass talk about it.
Yeah, because he's from like an affluent Jersey community.
I'm not surprised, probably.
And then he went to Cornell, and then he moved
here.
Right.
He went to Cornell with Miss Coulter.
Next one, new rule, water is not life.
That is...
This one is so strange.
That's a weird opening sentence.
It's not true.
It's actually...
And
it's up there with oxygen.
It's about I guess oxygen you need way more quickly, but like water will kill you.
You need it too.
And the whole thing is he's essentially
it's most of your body.
It's for him to be like, so they found evidence that water used to cover Mars. Who cares? It's like, who cares? It's an astounding revelation about like
you're talking about movie lengths. I care about this.
Yes. Can you believe how long?
He always does. If I recall, I think he's always been like anti-NASA, right?
He's like
we shouldn't be spending our money on that stuff or whatever.
He's anti-discovery. He's
he doesn't
he's anti
curiosity.
Curiosity. Yes. To him, curiosity is like, what does she look like with her clothes off? And if somebody else is like, there's nothing I wonder about more than like what is outside what
Call
we
me
know.
When they find a pair of tits on Mars.
Yeah. Yes. Hey, open up a brothel, then we'll talk. Hey, find that chick from Total Recall, then maybe I'll get on the spaceship.
I always go into Dennis Miller.
I'll tell you what, the only way you could get me interested in going to Mars is if you found the chick from Total Recall up there.
Pretty good.
I don't want to say I like tits, but I've been known to have sex with cows. I don't know. That's too literal for Dennis Miller. And it ends with him making a very casual reference to Natalie Woods' murder.
That
came out of nowhere.
That was a honest groan.
Yes.
From the crowd. But I kind of respected it because it was so unexpected and dark.
But
was she recently in the news for something? Or is this just like Natalie Wood drowning is hilarious and that's just a go-to for me?
It's that. And it's the kind of thing where it's like, I have a lot of respect for those kinds of jokes. But like everything he does is so cheap.
I did like as plain as the nose in my lap. That was a line in one of them. That
I didn't get it.
It's like as plain as the nose on my face
Yeah.
is the saying. And he's talking about...
Oh, just somebody sucking his dick?
Or like being at the strip club or whatever.
Oh,
I'm
see.
like, Bill is actually... I wrote like, he's actually strongest when he... Did I write that down? He had 2 good jokes off the cuff. All it took was cocaine and Martin Short mentioning his love of strippers.
Mm-hmm.
Write what you know.
Yeah.
Like when he embraces I'm kind of a pathetic stripper-loving sleeve, but like...
So he doesn't think he's pathetic is the thing. He thinks it's
Right.
cool. And I'll say, you got it very judiciously this episode.
Well, he was playing off Marty, too.
Yeah.
Marty was setting him up kind of with the you're a pervert
Marty?
shit.
Marty was setting him up?
Marty
Short?
Oh, sorry, that's Scorsese.
Yeah. No, you're thinking of the short Marty.
Hello.
I would say it's because it was very few of his jokes. Because literally the last episode, it was like he was getting sucked off under the desk during the episode. It was
I don't like when he brings horny energy to it.
Next one. Politics is about compromises. Really stupid compromises.
That's when I was like, wait, Bill's against compromises now? I thought he was king compromise and reasonable. Like, I was like, this is against your whole fucking thing, man.
And I don't know what the relevance to this moment is.
Right, because what does this lead to?
Him doing 5 minutes of jokes about lesbians.
Right.
Like, I forgot. I just looked at my notes as you were asking that, and I was like,
of course that's what that led to.
This is all the lesbian shit. Okay, so this is a great example of my counter of once he starts to get horny with these jokes.
Right.
They're horrible.
Right.
Like,
yeah, when he's doing it like a fucking, like a Rat Packy kind of playful with Martin Short, it's kind of tolerable.
Yeah.
But
'cause
now
Martin Short's kind of teasing him.
Yes.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Like, Martin Short is literally teasing him to
Yeah.
his face that he's a pervert.
Yeah.
And everyone knows it.
Yes.
Like, he's calling him out a little.
Martin Short and Martin Short seem to be pretty good friends, so
yeah,
he would know.
Yeah.
Yes, because this is when, like, so he opens this one by talking about how all these Congress is always doing really bad compromises, and he's like, stupid compromises.
That's how we got such laws as blacks are 3/5 of a person. Slaves are property unless they make it to Ohio. Interning the Japanese, but not the Germans.
Implying he was okay with the first part of that.
Oh, good point. Yeah.
And then,
he was okay with that.
And then
slaughtering the Indians, but letting the ones who survived run the Keno parlors.
Letting?
He's
so weird.
So I'll say I have a new rule. I have a thing for you to read if you're interested after we're done. Because for the Christmas, I have an episode.
After I read that Bill Maher book, I promised I would never read anything again.
I have one new rule from a book of new rules. There are some in that book.
Thank you for.
There are some in that book that are fucking racist.
Oh, yes.
And there are like 7 of them about Chinese food being disgusting, being cats. The book is from like 2010.
I think he's definitely weird with Eastern culture.
And he's also like one of the most homophobic guys alive.
Oh, yeah.
In like weird ways. Oh, okay. No, I actually know. I know how it gets into the lesbian stuff.
Okay.
Because he's like, let's compromise. Let's do one of those compromises on gay marriage. He also says like homosexual or like homos. He says it weird, but he says
homosexual.
Homosexual, yes.
Like homosexual.
Or like he's from Boston, like mum, hot dog.
Homosexual.
How about we just let the lesbians marry? mean, come on, marriage is a chick thing anyway.
Monogamy and marriage were invented by women and the church as a way to address female insecurity and stamp out oral sex as we know it.
God, he is so... There's one true line in that, and then the rest is psychotic.
It's...
The church, yes.
I mean, I don't think I've given out for a while.
But, like, how he ended up with... Where that ended up.
Women only get married out of insecurity. It was like, no, they had to.
Yes.
To, like, own property.
Right. It was not a choice.
And, I mean, I don't think I've actually done it for a while, but this definitely gets the misogyny treatment.
Cringe. There's no other word for it. This makes me cringe. It's embarrassing.
Which is just, they're just parts that fall under the misogyny
But there was
part.
one good line. Oh, wait, that's coming up. Keep going.
Is it?
Because then he goes into the, like, kind of honest thing that, like, we don't have a problem with lesbians.
Yes. So that's the point he makes that's true, but it's only in service of something disgusting. When he's like, let's be honest. When people say homosexuality is disgusting, they don't mean lesbians. And it's like...
There was a good line. In America, when a man puts something in another man, it better be a bullet.
Yes.
That's a good line. Whoever wrote that, good job.
And it's too bad it's in service of, like, the most hackneyed... At one point...
He ruined so much with just lazy, weird misogyny that comes out of nowhere.
He says...
Nobody seems to find anything so abominable about Britney Spears tonguing Madonna.
And he has two other examples of...
Right.
Like, lesbians in culture. Like lesbian activity.
And especially at that time, that was definitely true.
Well, but I'll say he
most...
did find that. He made jokes about Madonna, calling her she was like 47 years old at that time.
But the hatred towards, like, gay marriage politically was directed towards gay men.
Yes.
Vibe-wise.
And
I mean, women, lesbians, of course, suffered just as much. But, like, the visible outrage of, like, it being an abomination...
And it
Their
also
example was always two men.
And it's funny too. It's like also
like the church and stuff.
That coming from like a guy too, because it's like women will be like, yeah, culturally, but like you still were like ridiculed and harassed for being gay.
Yes.
By other, like, so it's like his point is even only true.
You also still did not have equal rights.
His point of view is still only true within his visibility of it.
Yeah.
Yes. So he did find something. Oh, that was the last thing I had down. Yes. And then there's the joke. If a man is going to put something in another man in America, it better be a bullet.
That's a good line.
Yeah. I don't even remember. That might be what he ends on.
And then a bathhouse joke.
Right.
Because he is deeply homophobic.
Only 2 to 10% of men in America, of people in America, are gay. Although the number seems higher in my bathhouse.
He loves bathhouse jokes. A thing that, like, I think we're already almost gone at this point.
Yeah, and people in like Korean culture had not penetrated
we
like
know
mainstream American culture. So it's not. I don't think
he
wasn't going to like
still in like
B-spot.
1980, 82 level of like thinking of the gay community.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, bathhouses. And I mean, they were still around because I do remember a guy when I was in school.
But it wasn't like, prominent. Like,
I just remember him being like, instead of taking the bus home outside Toronto, I just stayed at a bathhouse. And we were like, stayed at a bathhouse? Fucking forgot. You just stay at, it felt weird. But I got a boarding house for the night. It's like, right. That's the show. That was real time. So now we're going to new rules.
Okay.
You got to say.
We got to do the theme song.
Yeah.
Before we do it, I have one thing to say.
Sure.
For all the shit he talks and that every guest on the show so far has talked about hip hop, has anyone ever pointed out to him or has he ever thought about how the New Rules theme song is just a ripoff of the beat from California Love by Tupac?
Oh my God.
It is. It 100% is. And he'll never be able to reconcile that. That's the same beat.
I mean,
you can sing California. You can sing it right over the top, and it sounds exactly the same.
I don't know if you've ever heard the way this guy throws around Izzle, but he clearly is familiar with hip hop and its culture, you know? I'm just saying.
It's just, like, again, black people invented being cool. Like, we did. It's black people and, like, I think some aspects of Japanese culture and Japanese people, they invented what being cool is. Literally, if you look to the 1960s when the idea of being cool was, like, something that was culturally developing, it was all white people pretending to be black people. Like, just another strong example of we make the culture, you make fun of us, and then you steal the culture from us anyway.
Yeah, you're probably right, though, that there was also probably one or two of those guys doing Mifune, too.
Yeah.
just hair slicked back, cigarette in your mouth, tiny little
Yeah,
beard.
you literally, I mean, one of the coolest things you could possibly do if you can grow a beard and like grow a tiny little beard and like you're that lean and you got a cool looking suit, you'll just frown a lot and you'll look amazing.
Yeah, kind of that like lean face, and you're always kind
Yeah.
of like you're like always like squinting in that way where it's like, is this man being considerate of something, or is he simply incredibly tired right now? It's impossible
Yeah,
to know.
exactly. Is he trying to read something far away or is he pondering something in his vast mind? Yeah.
So right. Okay. So you got
Let's do it.
New rules. First new rule. Do you have any general thoughts on the new rules?
Oh, I remembered the one that was so shocking that I had to stop what I was doing. And it's coming up. It's not
Okay.
the first new rule, but it's coming up, and I am shocked that I allowed myself to forget this. I think maybe I just blacked out for a second because I couldn't believe someone said it on television.
So the first new rule is
All right, new rule. Only family members should get to sell their dead loved ones.
Literally obsessed with this.
This also bothers me because it's saying should makes it not a rule. The rule would be only family members get to sell their dead loved ones. Then it's a rule. Then it's a real rule. So for most of it, it's about selling the cadavers. I'm like, whatever. But then he's like, no, family members should be able to sell them because you can make the money back that you spent putting them in, hospice care, whatever. And he says, maybe you can help me with this. He says,
If you just parted her out like an old Honda Civic,
he's talking about your grandmother's corpse.
the cost of abandoning her all these years to the care of minority healthcare workers bent on avenging white people would be averaged over time.
Oh, this must be a reference to John Q. The Denzel Washington John Q, where he goes in the hospital, he's a heart thing. But it's also like a mangled one, I'm assuming.
What does he mean by the care of minority healthcare workers bent on avenging white people?
I don't know.
Because avenging white people, look, I don't know how to use a comma properly, so sometimes I mess these things up because of my struggles with the English language at times. But wouldn't say bent on avenging white people is implying that they are getting revenge for white people?
Yes.
But
yes.
But do you think he means that they're getting revenge on white people through their care of the elderly?
Again, this is one of those cases where I feel like this was the first draft and no one gave it a second pass because it just is a sentence that doesn't make sense. I'm trying to diagram it in my head and I don't understand what he means.
So this is like a classic episode where I hate John McWhorter so much. Bill Maher is not the problem until he's left alone. Like, when I look back, the whole middle of the episode, I really did not have there are really not a ton of complaints about Bill Maher.
Yeah.
But the monologue and the new rules, it's like, oh, okay, he's allowed to shine again. And like, this joke, this is incomprehensible to me about what they're saying.
It reminds me of that tweet that's like, why do they call it an oven? Enough because you eat food enough because and. Like, it's just soup. That's just language soup. Doesn't mean anything. It's said in a way that it implies it's a joke, so it gets a laugh because people feel pressure to laugh in these situations.
Yeah. I really think he's implying that minority healthcare workers get revenge on white people by abusing. That's the only thing I could think that he means, because I don't know how they would be avenging white people. Also, the other problem too is like I haven't been to a ton of like retirement homes, but like everyone I've ever been to, the people who work in them are so unbelievably lovely. Like they're so underpaid and like they really care about the people they take care of.
You don't get into social work of any kind, especially dealing with the elderly that are like shitting in their pants all the fucking time. Like you don't get into that because you want to sell body parts or like you have some kind of criminal enterprise. You get into that because it's like something you care about.
So we got no resolution on that one. The next new rule.
New rule. The president can have sleepovers.
And this is about a big scandal during the Clinton administration. I don't know if you remember. I barely remember this, but a big scandal was that they would let donors stay in bedrooms in the White House if they donated enough money to the Democratic Party, which is brazen and open corruption, obvious corruption on the part of the Clintons. Like that was a part of what McCain-Feingold was all about, was trying to stop shit like that. It turns out George Bush does it too. And Bill Maher is like, I don't care as long as that's all those donors are getting. And it's like, okay, well, what are the odds that's all those donors are getting?
Seriously. Just like, it's incredible how he is such a nihilistic cynic, but also so credulous. Like, he just really believes whatever he's been told, like an obedient dog.
So naive about these
know.
things. Next one.
New rule. Big, crappy airlines have to stop pretending to be cute little airlines.
This one was so confusing to me. I hated this one because, like, this is only a problem that someone has if they're flying a lot, aka you. Like, I've never had this thought, like, oh, this airplane shouldn't pretend to be such a scrappy little airline. I don't care. I'm getting on a flight because I have to see my parents.
Yeah, which one's the cheapest? And that's the one I usually have to take. So the next one, so I bet this is the one you're thinking of.
Oh, yeah.
The next one.
New rule. Computers aren't for voting. They're for picking up underage girls.
Arrested, jail, immediate jail. What the fuck is wrong with you?
He has made this literal joke at least once before on the show during New Rules.
Someone should search his hard drive. I'm not joking. Like, there's no way law enforcement is listening to this, but if you are, like, seriously look into it. He is obsessed with underage girls.
He's the most boomer guy when it comes to computers because he's gone from not understanding them and being afraid of them to being a brain poisoned by Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, and Barry Weiss's The Free Press. That's like... He's gone on that exact trajectory. Yeah. And the clip I pulled out from this that I was like, come on, is he goes,
but now that we all have computers, we know that they are, in fact, huge fuck-up machines. They're like having a compact silicon version of Gary Busey on your desk. You never know what's going to happen.
I feel pretty confident I know what's going to happen. Almost every single time I use a computer. If I double click on something, it will open. I use PC, so I right click, I get the drop down menu. If there's a problem, Control Alt Delete, I can just and this is in the context of yes, he's opposed to the idea of using like essentially technology to vote. Because it can be compromised.
It is an opinion that was incredibly popular at the time, and now one is that is like completely just a fucking, it doesn't even matter. Like our system of government and the way that we vote is so fucked already that the computers wouldn't help at all at this point. But it's also just like, it is a boomer opinion. It is like, computers are huge fuck up machines is the same opinion my mom has when she can't understand why something she saved in my documents on her work computer doesn't show up on the home computer that she uses. Like, that is just... I love you, Mom. You're definitely not listening to this, but I do love you. But you don't know how to use a computer at all. Like a huge fuck up machine. Programming is a series of if-then statements. That's all programs are written out of those logical statements. If, then, and, or. Like, or except. Like, those are the only ways that computers are written. It is incredibly easy to tell what will happen when you use a computer.
Yeah, the one thing I would almost agree a little bit with this is that I remember... it would have been a little earlier than this, but that era of PC gaming, it felt like you almost always had to fuck around with your settings a little bit to get
for that. You did need a degree in like computer science in order to get a game to work. I had to mod. I wanted to play Fallout New Vegas after the Fallout TV show, and I had to like install. Like, it took me like 3 hours to mod the game so it wouldn't make my computer explode. Like, yeah, if he was talking about that, then I would totally understand. If he was saying, new rule, games should just work when you install them, I absolutely agree. I do understand the situations that lead to games like Fallout New Vegas to being broken as fuck on release, and it's not the developer's fault, but games should just work when you install them. But he is not playing video games.
Could you imagine if he was like, new rule, I shouldn't have to figure out how to simulate DOS on my computer if I want to play Master of Orion 2 in the year 2024.
Exactly. God, no. It would be more like new rule. Caesar's Legion was correct, and we are adopting that as our new form of government. Like,
he really is a bit of a Caesar figure in that he seems like a guy who picks up a book and is suddenly like, I understand world history. Like, I am now a great man of history.
Just picks it up. Yeah, exactly. No, that's the whole tech like brain. The tech industry brain is just that great man theory is real, and I'm one of them.
yeah, this bit, just computers, Google was like at its peak of functionality in the year 2004. Like,
it was never easier to understand how a computer worked than in 2004.
there were forums for everything. You very rarely had to worry about people coming in and being annoying like you do with social media. Like, we were thriving to such, Amazon was just like, I think had just started selling not just books. Like,
yeah.
So the final new rule.
And finally, new rule. You can't be a Washington outsider if you're already president.
Yeah, that's fair.
And he also, so I'll, you know, for most of it, I was like, yeah, sure. And he's like, same with John Kerry. He's like, you can't, neither of you can claim to be an outsider if one of you grew up on the mean streets of Kennebunkport and the other the mean streets of Nantucket. You can't claim to be an outsider if you use the word summer as a verb. But then he's talking about John Kerry, and he's like, you've married 2 heiresses. One of them, yes, she's a lovely woman, but...
She's the ketchup lady. Which explains why sometimes he's got to smack her on the bottom to get her to come. Anyway...
God. Good Lord. Oh, my God. I just want to put him in a big hole. This is another candidate for my well-based system of justice. You know, you just got to push him down a big well. Samara from The Ring didn't really deserve it. If you pushed Bill Maher down a well and trapped him in there, you'd come out with the fucking Ring videotape and it's just new rules.
Yeah, what's the
rule? You will die in 7 days.
So do you have any final thoughts on new rules? Anything else from the episode?
You're right. This outfit is atrocious. It's a tan suit with a blue and white striped, vertical striped shirt. It's atrocious. It looks like he literally just threw it on. Also, he looks like a melting wax figurine.
It's anytime people are like, you know how the worst thing Obama ever did was wear a tan suit. And it's always like, for me, I'm always like, look, it was insane that they tried to make that a point of criticism, but like a tan suit really doesn't look good on like anybody. Like
it's so
tough.
Tiny, vanishingly small amount of situations. Obama looked better in it because of his skin tone. It's so close to the color of his skin.
It's so difficult to pull off. You just shouldn't try it unless that's kind of your thing. But Bill Maher really can't do it. That's it. That's the episode. What an episode. What a way to end. Which explains why sometimes he's got to smack her on the bottom to make her come. And he really just like blows it out real quick. I mean, I put the clip in. And then he just like sits there. He's so close to standing up and putting his arms out and like lifting his head up to like bask in how proud he is of himself for that joke. Then he segues into new rules. First new rule. New rule.
All right, new rule. No more planets in our solar system until we can take care of the 9 we have.
So this was about the discovery of Setna, which I don't really remember. It's funny to think we almost had 10 planets and now we're down to 8. But this new rule, I mean, they tried and they just couldn't get it to coalesce. So he kind of starts talking about like, I don't want to have to support these damn Setnans with my tax dollars. Like he does like the right-wing talking points about immigrants, but it's a jump from, again, it's like, well, we're not taking care of the 9 planets we have and we're adding this other one, but then the rest of it doesn't really tie in. Here's some of it.
Astronomers now say there's a 10th planet, Sedna. It's mostly rocks and ice like Dick Cheney, but...
Like, what does that mean?
They think it should be part of our solar system. Now, as a guy who pays my taxes and plays by the rules, I don't see why my money should go to letting the Sedna East take my jobs, crowd my schools, and do my gardening. Okay, they can do my gardening.
So that joke flops, and that whole thing is DOA, and he knows. It's a rare time the crowd doesn't like it, and he kind of like looks where he's like, not a good one, not a strong one. Yeah, on some level, look, you're going into the break. It's to be expected. You're not trying so hard on this one, but it's really, the thing is the jokes, the new rule doesn't really tie in that well to the jokes that follow it. Like the jokes aren't about taking care of the planet we have. The jokes are about treating the Sydneyese like they're immigrants from a right-wing perspective. I don't understand the connection. That was the whole thing. I didn't remember I'd put the whole thing, but that was the whole thing in there. Next up, new rule.
New rule. No more missionaries.
So this bit is about how we don't need missionaries because we have movies and TV, and he cites like The Passion and how popular it was, so we don't need missionaries if there's already this Christian propaganda coming. And the final punchline to this, now this is the most, I laughed at this joke, but it is the most like coastal liberal elite bubble joke ever. Fucking listen to this.
Now, I'm a lapsed Catholic, so all I know about missionaries I learned from cartoons in The New Yorker, but apparently most of you do wind up as soup.
I mean, it's funny. It's an unbelievably funny reference if you're an asshole. And like, I'm a fucking dickhead. I get this joke and I laughed. I can picture like, I don't know, a dozen New Yorker cartoons with like guys in a soup pot in like the jungle, a big soup pot and the water's bubbling. And, you know, hey, fill in your own caption for this one. There's a fire, you know, the wood logs under and the fire's coming up the pot. It's an image that is so vivid in my brain the second he references it. I laughed. Look, it's a joke for assholes, but it's a good joke for assholes. Next, new rule.
New rule, and some of these I can't believe I have to tell people.
I can't believe I have to tell people this.
Don't try to get pandas to mate by showing them porn.
Okay. So I referenced this all the way back close to the start of the episode. This is the juvenile joke that I think would work much better if he weren't always doing bad, lazy, dirty jokes, juvenile humor. Like, this joke would stand out so much more if the show weren't filled with much worse examples of this.
Yes, the Chinese government is really doing that, but it's not working because after watching all that porn, the male pandas keep pulling out and coming on her tits.
Like, do I think it's some incredible display of comedy writing? No, no. It's gross and it's stupid, but it is technically a very well written example of that kind of joke. And again, like I said, if they were strict enough with their standards to only do like dirty jokes like that to that standard or higher, they'd all be so much better. And I mean, obviously the crowd hoots and cheers, but that doesn't, you know, he literally yells at them if they don't. It's too bad, you know, it's just too bad to blow your wad. To use an analogy, to blow your wad with bad examples of this kind of joke when you have much better ones yet to come. New rule.
New rule. Yes, I have seen the new 20s. You don't have to show me yours.
That's the whole bit. There's no other follow-up. It's very strange. That's like the kind of new rule he was doing in the very first 10 episodes of the show, before they'd figured out the format and New Rules was only like 3 minutes long. Like, you know, that's the kind of thing where it's like just the rule, even if it's not a great rule, but it's not a rule at all. But again, that's it. The rule is the entire joke. It's really weird to do that. It feels unfinished is the issue. Something that, I mean, I don't think that's particularly funny, but whatever, if you want to be like, oh, it's a quick throwaway gag. You can't do quick throwaway gags in here anymore because you never, ever do them otherwise. So to just throw one in, you know, 20 episodes into establishing you don't do that anymore, it feels very strange and out of place. And I think the crowd is a little surprised that there isn't more to anything following it. New rule.
New rule. Lay off Rumsfeld and his 9/11 memento.
So the joke here, or the thing is, yes, he took a piece of the plane that hit the Pentagon, but he did it to remind himself of who did this to us. Otherwise, we might have retaliated against the wrong country. Crowd laughs, they cheer. Look, this shit's always a winner, especially on this show. Said it a million times, said it at the start of the show. They do these kinds of bits well. And even if it's not particularly funny, look, it's a crowd pleaser. People are going to woo and cheer in a more, you can go after clapter all you want, but sometimes if a crowd is really pumped to cheer a bit, I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. I don't always think it's bad if your joke is more about the crowd cheering and clapping than they are laughing, because that response can also be spontaneous and real. I think clapter, people too often lump all clapping after a joke that doesn't get a lot of laughs in clapter, whereas one that is truly spontaneous and sincere, I do think also has value. Look, I think when you do comedy, there's a real value to getting responses beyond just laughs. Obviously, you want the primarily to be getting laughs, but I think other responses mixed in there make the laughs better and make it a more cohesive. It makes it more of a show, more of a set, as opposed to somebody doing joke for whatever, 45, 60 minutes, 20 minutes. That makes it feel like a cohesive whole. It's because of the fucking panda joke now. I'm just going to laugh anytime I come whole. It's a cohesive whole. That's how you get pandas pregnant. Give them a good cohesive whole. See, now I'm being cheap. I'm doing it too. I understand. Look, I judge the writers on the show. I understand the impulse once it starts happening. Once you get going, it's a tough train to hop off of. New rule.
New rule. If we really want to stop terrorism, we have to get Muslim men laid.
Now, nobody was thrilled to hear this, other than the studio audience who cheered uproariously. When I say nobody, I mean me. I was not thrilled to hear this. I don't like when these are the kinds of things we go out on, but, this kind of premise, I feel like I've been hearing this premise for a long time, and now it has evolved to more broadly. It's funny, this is all about Muslim men, they have to get laid, and they have no hope for getting laid. And I've heard this joke done so much about American men, as, incel culture has grown. And, I understand it's comedy, they're doing jokes, but it's like, first of all, it's always from the perspective of, straight guys, because, gay men, I guess, don't experience loneliness, or I guess maybe they say they don't, act out in violent ways. They don't act out on those feelings in a violent manner. I don't think that's true. Fucking men are men. But it's they never brought it out to these men are alienated from society, and these are the groups. These are the only groups they can find as a sort of community. So of course, if the only community they can find is one that promotes violence and these sort of violent ideas, then they're going to accept those because that's their one community. So they're not going to give it up. And also, if these are the only people who accept them, they're going to be like, well, good, these people are probably right about this. I should probably follow what they say. But I've got a few outtakes from it. First of all, so this is the first clip I've got from this. And I'm sure look, and this one is the exact opposite of the No 10th Planet one, where you get the rule and then what follows is just directly in line with the rule.
Things would change quickly because young Muslim men don't really hate America. They're jealous of America. We have rap videos and the Hilton Sisters and magazines with titles like Barely Legal. You know what's barely legal in Afghanistan? Everything.
I swear to God, he has done this new rule before. I swear to God, he has done this exact bit on the show before. That in particular sounded so fucking familiar. I'm sure, and I'm not going to go through all the past episodes, but I really, really, really feel like I have heard this fucking bit before. So if you're new to the show and have listened to a lot of episodes back to back, first of all, I hope you're okay. Second, if you recognize this from an episode, if I'm correct and you recognize this bit and know what episode it's from, please email me. Oh, I also forgot to say during the housekeeping off the top, if you've emailed me and I haven't gotten back to you in within the last 3 months, you're in good company. I don't think I've replied to a single email during that time, unless it was about booking the show. It's just the thing I let slip the most. I'm gonna go after I'm done this. I'm gonna edit it, upload it, go clean the fridge, and then I'm gonna go through all these old emails I need to reply to. So I apologize. Please don't take it as a sign I don't want people's emails. It's just the thing that's the easiest to deprioritize. Next clip. Okay, so this is such an interesting. This is so I'm realizing I'm wrong. This bit also slips into, it goes from being about these regressive ideas about Muslim men, and I think men in particular, to being very specifically about himself.
Young men need sex, and if they don't get it for month after month after month, they wind up cursing the day they ever decided to go to Cornell.
We all know who went to Cornell. So that, I mean, I laughed out loud at that, not because, not because it's just such a window into this guy's entire life as he's garnered success. Like, he clearly is like, I got no pussy, so I'm entitled in college and when I was young, so I'm entitled to it now, and I got to get all I can. It's a mindset I understand a little bit, because, I mean, I had like girlfriend, but I got married very young. It just was the kind of thing I was never like a swinging single guy, until my first wife and I got divorced, and it's look, you're told that's the way, that's how guys got to be, at least for a bit. But I did not let it warp my brain so fundamentally the way he has, to where he's now one of the most fucked up guys when it comes to how he views women. And this next thing too, hey, they're taking a long break. He's got to make this next joke at least once before he goes out for a few months.
Which is what guys do when they don't have girlfriends, when they're not allowed to even talk to a girl. Of course they want to commit suicide. Unlike this country, where it's the married guys who want to kill themselves.
I mean, I guess it was a thing back then that, I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know where that mindset came from, why it was so seemingly so popular. I mean, it's easier to have if you fundamentally dislike women and dislike the idea that any kind of like partnership in your life. Who knows? So just this, I'll also say during this bit, they keep cutting to David Frum, who's like covering his face with his hand while he's like laughing so hard. Like, I'm being so naughty laughing at these jokes. It's like, buddy, you'll fucking laugh at any criticism of Muslims. You'll delight in it. You'll click, you'll clap, you'll stomp your feet on the ground. Like, don't try to act fucking coy about this shit. And then this is the last line, which is kind of baffling. You get what he means, but
Forget the Peace Corps. We need a piece of ass corps. Girls, there's a cure to terrorism, and you're sitting on it.
So, he just said piece of ass, and they're sitting on their asses. But really, if the whole premise is like fucking a woman will stop these guys from doing terrorism, but it makes it sound as if he thinks women sit on their pussies. That's honestly the first thing there's a cure for terrorism, and women, and ladies, you're sitting on it. It's like, well, if you're talking about vaginal intercourse, they're absolutely not sitting on it. I don't know, maybe if they're like straddling a bar stool and leaning way forward, but buddy, where do you think the vagina is? Because, if you've heard, the Marvy Rogan episode 1, you'd know this guy is not an anal guy. Is actually very vanilla when it comes to sex, apparently. So I don't think he'd be thinking of anal sex. That's how it ends. Goodbye. We'll see you in 3 months. Women sit on their pussies.